Folks, we're back with another midweek machining video. We're going to be making another fuel tee, and this is going to be a real complicated one. But let me show you what we got going on and what the problem with this is. All right, so we're over here at the bench. This is the carbs from the ZRX12. And I'm not sure which video is going to come out first, but once you see that video, you're going to see that we had a problem with these air check valves, or a suspected problem, which required the splitting of at least number 4 carb off of the rack, and then replacing these O-rings on that fuel joint is a matter of good practice after we fixed everything. And I've gone through all these carbs, and they're all done, and I have them all back together, and I turned them upside down, did a pressure test, and that was perfectly fine. The one that goes here between 1 and 2 is perfectly fine, and here's the joint that goes between 2 and 3. This is your fuel inlet joint, and it was leaking. And so I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I said, well, no big deal. I ordered 8 O-rings, pulled this thing out and went, oh no. And those O-rings are different. They're skinnier, they're thinner. You can see from this guy right there, that O-ring is most definitely different than the one on the gray fuel tee here, okay? So I said, oh great. So I went and looked it up, and you can maybe get this. Partzilla shows it as 3 to 4 days availability, and I'm thinking of ordering 1 or 2 anyway. They're not that expensive. Problem I have with this is, being it takes different O-rings, and if you watch the ZRX12 video, I kind of complain about this. These O-rings are not broken out on the parts fish. I figured out, based upon these fuel tees, that they're the same O-rings on the ZX10. So I just ordered O-rings for the joints, figuring that I'd only need 2 for this end one. And like I said, when I put it together, this was leaking. So that really sucked. So I'm like, well, I just pull it out and put those O-rings on here. As you can see, they won't fit. This is one of these things that I don't like, that the fuel tee takes different O-rings than the fuel joints. And the O-rings are not broken out, nor are they on this. So you have to buy the whole joint, and it comes with the O-ring. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, the easy way is, if we make a fuel tee and keep these joints, you know, the 2 plastic ones on the end carbs, at least all of them will take the same O-rings, because I ordered 8 O-rings because I figured I'd have extra. So I'm glad I ordered 8. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll put the other 4 just like it's set up on this. So it's a complicated fuel tee, because you see it's got an extra groove on the end, and that's for a fuel filter, like a snap-on filter. And I'll show you a picture of this fuel joint unmolested, and then you get an idea. So I'm going to try and make one, see how it comes out. So let's go over to the lathe. This is 6061, just general purpose aluminum. This is a 3/4 inch piece. I have the drawings kind of over that way. It's just a chicken scratch drawing for now. If it works out, I'll draw it out better like my other one is. But the overall diameter I picked is going to be 550 thou. So we got to turn a section down to a little over a 1/2 inch. So let's go ahead and get started. Fine. I think I forgot to tell you, I'm running 1,000 RPM, and that's about 8 thou per revolution, I believe. So I think that's what I set it for. In case it matters, we're exactly 650. That's kind of neat how that worked out. All right, she's down 550 on the button. It's a non-critical dimension. We'll start whittling it in from one end. We'll end up chucking on that center section where that spigot's going to be put into eventually. I'll just protect it. Should have left it big. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but it doesn't matter. We'll protect it in the jaws with some aluminum pieces or brass or something, or copper. And then as long as we come in the appropriate dimension here, and then when we flip it around after doing all these features, do the same thing on that side, we should be able to have a proper overall dimension, because that's all calculated in. So this is what we're going to do. The first dimension we need as far as an overall IOD, rather, 355 thou. So the depth in we have to go I'm looking at my drawing as I'm talking here, is 830 thou. So we'll just use the, unfortunately without a DRO, I got to do this. We'll use the Waze indicator here, the dial indicator for the Waze, when we get to that point. But we're going to be, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to mark off where 830 thou is, put a witness mark. But what we're going to do is bring this in again at a diameter of 355. It's basically the same as the other one. On the other drawing, 353, which is right here. I think I just kind of measured it differently on this one, but it doesn't matter, 2,000 is close enough. So that, you know, it's the same. Cross-referencing to the other drawing for some of this stuff, like when I do the grooving and so forth, we're going to do it like we did in the other drawing, except we're making 2 grooves per side. So let's go, we'll set up for 830 thou in from the edge. Good enough, 830. Now, if I had a DRO, that would be, you know, quite much easier. So then we'll set a 0. Now we'll make a witness mark. We know we're at 550 spot on, and we want to go to, what did I say, 355. So 355, 455, 555 is basically 3 thousandths under 200 thousandths, or 197. So we'll just whittle it down till we get there. And yeah, I see my live center is acting up here. I don't know why. I'm not too terribly impressed with the live center on these this Grizzly anyway. I'm just not. It's just not a very good live center. I'm going to upgrade to a different one. I am going to change this insert. This is terrible. I think I was doing something on some hard steel. That's what it is. This insert is completely shot. Let me change the insert out. That's a little better. I'm going to slow the feed down a little bit for these finished features. 375. So we got 20 thou to go. Bring that feed down a wee bit. All right, this guy's within 1,000, so we're good. It's like 355 and a half, almost 356 maybe, so that's good. And remember, the original one was 353, so I'm erring on the larger side of this because it's just the way I measured it up, that's what it seems. So I think it'll be fine. So anyway, where are we gonna go from here? We are going to go to start the grooving, the first groove. Now the first groove is kind of not really a groove, it's more like a lip. I guess that would be the best description for it. It's a lip on the end here that's going to capture that little filter, and it's smaller than the major diameter, or this major diameter here, this diameter of this end that's going to plunge inside the carburetor. You said plunge. So we're going to make this diameter just a little smaller. That smaller diameter's got to be 300 thou. I did not put it on the drawing. That's that major diameter here. The one right on the end of that where that lip is now, and it is a lip, it's not really a groove. I mean, there's a groove that forms a lip, but you know, you get what I mean. So that diameter, the major diameter of that, is got to be what we have to put into the first edge of what's going to be the first groove. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of, it's hard to measure this, so I'm just going to kind of get an estimate here of what it looks like, because it shouldn't be too critical. I'm going to say that's 90 thou. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to touch off here, which I'll just do by bumping it a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to go in 90 thou with it. And we're going to bring that 90 thou down to 300 thou in as far as overall diameter. Right now we are at 353 or 355 or so. So that will only be about 55 thou. So let's go ahead and do it. There's 90 thou in. Let's see what we got for a diameter. Yeah, just a 316 rather. So I'm gonna bring that down to finish. Here's the problem. I don't have a grooving tool that's narrow enough for this end groove that just provides that relief to make this lip on the end for that snap filter to go on. The narrowest I got is the 80 thou one that I use to make these grooves, you know, for the actual O-rings. So I'm going to bump this in an extra 30 thou. So instead of going 90, we're going to go to 120 because it doesn't really matter. Unlike the other Keihins on the ZX10, there's plenty of depth in these bores. We can really kind of fool around with where these actual O-ring grooves fall. All right, so I'm going to move this into, you know, just around that 120 instead of 90. And you know, the reason is, again, the more, I wouldn't say critical, but the important part here is the thickness of this lip on the end so that little filter snaps on. So that's about only 30 thou. I'm going to go with 40 and see what happens. So we'll put a grooving tool in now, which is kind of groovy, and we'll go in and we should just kind of touch against that inside step that I just made right there. And then with that grooving tool, just plunge in. I have to measure what this diameter is for that, but then it'll make that feature on the end of it. Okay, the groovy tool is in place and it's squared off. And let me tell you what we got to go in. 278 thou, and this is what? I think it's went a little bit under, right? Yeah, it's 290. 12 thou, we only got to go 12 thou in to make this feature. So that's pretty cool. Scrapped another one. Just kidding. 280, close enough. We're going to make the first groove 140 thou off the end. We're going to make all our references off of a known, and that's going to be the end every time. So we're just going to go ahead and bump off again like we've done before. Then we're going to add 80 thou, which brings this side of the tool up to that edge because we need to go off of that side of the tool because we're going in. I just love saying the word tool. I just can't stop. So now we're up to that edge. So we need to bring the tool in its current position, which will bring this side of the tool 140 thou in. So that's going to be fine because now we know this side of the tool is lined up with the edge of the part, not the leading side. So essentially the trailing side of the tool. There's 100, 10, 20, 30, 40. All right, so there's where the first groove should go. And that looks pretty good. I'm putting the groove in deeper because these are narrower grooves and I'm using two thicker O-rings and I'm just going to space them out appropriately. So like I said, it's kind of guesswork, but we're going to run, I'm just going to, you know what, I'm going to slow it down a little bit more. I'm going to slow it down 360 and it's 2B or not 2B. That is the speed. Get in there. The depth is the same as it is on the old drawing, so we're going to use the, you know, the drawing from the ZX10 for that. Well, the depth is not irrelevant. It's not terribly relevant except in our measuring in as we move in on the dial. I'm going to do it at 246 to 250, so I'm going to run it like 246. I'm going to do 246, 248 as far as the overall diameter of that groove, if you get my groove, okay? So this is at what? This is at 356. All right, so 356, and we want 246 basically. So we got 100 to take off, which is 50 on the side, but this calculates that in, okay? So we're going to leave the carriage where it's at. We're going to touch off, and we're going to start moving in so we can take 100 off. There we go, touched off. Zero my dial. $255. What did I say, 248? On the button, 248 right there, look at that. That's where we're gonna leave her, all right? All we gotta do is come over 8 more thou and match that depth. And there we go. That first groove is done. Now we can't match it up to the old one because it takes different O-rings obviously, but that groove is done. So now what I need to do is I need to zero out again. And I know I'm 88 thousandths wide, but this edge is up to that point. All right, so the width of it really is irrelevant. So now I got to move 80 thou to bring again this side of the tool up to that edge. So that way I'm calculating always off the same axis, if you will. So you can see right here, I'm right lined up to that edge, this trailing edge. So now we can, and I'm guessing on the rest of this stuff, okay? I'm guessing on this, but I figured the spacing, 260 thou to the leading edge of that groove. So I'm already up to this edge. So if I just do the math, the 140 subtracted from 260 is 120. That seems like a lot. So let's zero out and see. Remember, I'm guessing on this part because I don't have anything else to work off of. But I don't think we need to have that much space between them, to be honest with you. I think 60 would be better because that's pretty narrow between the two of them. So what I'm going to do is instead of doing 120, I know that would be what I guessed at originally. I'm only going to go 60 thou. See how that looks. And that actually looks a little bit too big, in my opinion, to be where it needs to be. So let me back up to 0 again. And let me think now. If we only go, let's do 40. I think 40 is a little more suitable because we don't need a whole lot of meat between the two of them. But let's think about this a second. Make sure we're not making a mistake. Now I'm going to go with 40 thou. Write it down on the drawing here, if I remember to do that. And now again, what we're going to do is we're going to plunge in the appropriate amount and then move over 8 thou. If she starts to sing a little bit, then we know we're there. Yeah, that essentially completes this end. With the exception of drilling it through, which I'll probably do now before it gets flipped. I'll drill it through and make the appropriate size hole in it. And then we'll have to flip it around. I'm not going to do the other side on camera. You already saw me do one. I don't need to show you the other. So I'm going to do that all off camera. I'm going to clean this up. But I will show you right now is before I flip it around and before I drill it. Let's dress the end up and see if those little filters snap on. There's a little roundness to the end of that I noticed. Here's the little filter. I'll move you back in so you can see. Here's the little filter. It's the typical one you'd see on the bottom of a what is it called? A float seat on the inside of it on the fuel delivery side. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. That'll work. I think it'll stay on there okay. Might make the other one a little bit bigger, but I think that'll be okay. There's not really any room inside for it to go that way because the hole not bottoms out, but the hole narrows down, so it can't go anywhere anyway. But I just need somewhat fairly firm. I'm going to make the other side a little bit bigger though now that I've seen this. But yeah, that ain't too shabby at all. That'll stay on there, I'm sure, for a day or two till it goes down the driveway. Then we're good anyway. Just kidding. So now I'm going to drill a hole down deep enough to whatever I need to drill it down to. When I finish this out, before I do any more like drill it and ream it and stuff for a spigot going down inside of it, I'm going to have to put it in there and put the carbs back together and make sure that they actually fit and there's enough clearance and stuff. But we'll address that when the time comes. Here's the finished product for the fuel tee. As a reminder, here's the old one. Of course, the little guys here, the filter guys, are not snapped on yet, but they were, of course, on the ends of this one. And remember, that one kind of extends the length of this, so it only goes in so far. Otherwise, this thing would move around back and forth. It's not long enough, in other words, to come up to the ends of the dimension it has between the inside of the bore and the outside of it. Without those on the end. So it's calculated in as far as the total length goes. So we're going to do that to test it. So I got the new O-rings on. And again, these are the same O-rings that go in the regular fuel joints, the black ones that you see. There's one right there. So anyway, that's what we're going to do with that and try it and see if it works. But first, let's go ahead and snap the filter guys on the ends of it like it's supposed to be. That way we have a true representation of whether or not this thing's actually going to work or not. All right, there it goes. One of them is just a little bit more difficult to put on than the other. Just the way it is. Probably should have machined one of them down a little bit more. This one over here is a pretty good fit. This one probably could stand to come down a couple of thou, but it's on there good and tight, and it ain't going to come off on its own. So that's really what it's supposed to look like in its installable state. Let's get you set up a little bit better here, and we'll give that a shot. So here's the two middle carbs. I've already cleaned these bores out really well, so I don't have to worry about that. It feels good. Oh yeah, I think that'd be pretty good, you see? This holes line up pretty well. All right, so what we'll do is I'm going to get the carbs all re-racked and come back, and then we'll pressure test it, and that'll be the verification. All right, I think you can see the gauge from there if I'm not mistaken. So let's pump her up and see what we can do. I'm going to go to 5 PSI, and we'll see what we got. And you know what we can also do is just dribble a little of this in here to make sure. And so it looks real well. And we're holding 5 PSI, absolutely no problem whatsoever. So that proves that not only our fuel delivery, as far as this fuel, you know, rail, if you want to call it, is good. And our floats and our float seats are good as far as the float valves go. This fuel T was done exactly as you saw in the ZX10 video on the midweek machining series. So if you go look at those, you'll see how I pressed that in. I didn't show it on the video I shot for this one. I stopped up to the point where we just machined the main part of it because it's so fairly complicated. But then I made this spigot and then pressed it in just like I did on that particular ZX10 midweek machining video, as I said. And it took a really hard press. It got about a 3 thou crush on it with Loctite 640, let it sit overnight, and then put it back together this morning. So yeah, here's another midweek machining video in the can, as they say in the movie industry. But anyway, I'm going to take this drawing and I'm going to go ahead and put it into a better form, like where you can actually read it. We'll redraw it out essentially. Put it in the file with the other ones, and then we'll take it from there. But I was in the middle of editing, which I'm trying to get this up. I'm trying to get it up, always. But today's Wednesday. I want to get it up for tonight, the 22nd. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody if they watch it, you know, before Thanksgiving, of course. I'm going to get it up on this midweek machining video schedule of Wednesday, which I like to do it. So I'm looking at the video as I'm editing it, going, I don't have an outro. Why didn't I film an outro at that time? I don't know. But I'm glad I didn't, because I wanted to update you. Since this fuel T goes to the ZRX 1200, I wanted to update everybody on that bike. Now, the bike is gone. Customer's super happy with it. But I had some collaboration with a viewer who just made a comment on the initial version. It's kind of complicated, but I put an original version of that video up. I got some really good feedback, not from that viewer, but a couple others in regards to the quality of the production itself. I decided to delete it, re-edit it, and put it back up. So it was really good feedback, and I really appreciate that. But unfortunately, I deleted, when you delete a video, all the comments go poof. But before they went poof, I read a comment from, let me see, I have written down here, let me see if I got it right here. Break Stuff Club 1109, whoever that is, he or she is. And they said the jetting was too lean. 130 was too lean on the main jet of that bike. So I said, well, I kind of suspected that. I had a feeling. I was going to turn it over to the customer with the 130 main jet because I just didn't know, and then see what he thought. Because I test rode it, it seemed pretty good. But I figured since that user has that viewer rather has a 2003 ZRX 1200 piped and potted, I figured give it a shot, since they said 137.5 to 142.5 would be the proper main jetting. So I bumped up the main jetting to 137.5 essentially, and it uncorked the sucker, and the customer's real happy with it. He texted me after picking it up yesterday and said it's like a different bike. So Appreciate all the feedback out there, especially that stuff, but also about the quality of the videos as well. Doing the best I can, and I'm really trying. So, all right. So that's it. This is the outro from this video. We'll try to get another midweek machining video up. I don't know when exactly. I got a pretty big project in here that, let's say, the word threesome might come into play. So you take that and run with it as far as you want to. But we got a good one coming up as far as a regular repair slash restoration video goes. And that's coming up whenever I get it done, because, you know, it's a pretty in-depth project, or maybe even projects, plural, right? All right. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Everybody, thanks for watching as always. Thanks for commenting, subscribing. If you haven't done so already, I'd ask you to consider doing that. And then you get notified when I put more crap like this up and whatever else. I'm looking at them right now, but I can't show you what's going on. All right, till next time, as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.